Hey everybody, happy Sabbath. So today it was the End It Now Sabbath, the Women's Ministry Sabbath. And so it kind of just tied into my week this week. So first week of school went really well. I say really well because we survived it. And that is a precedent that we always want to keep, right? Where there's some, things happening, of course. We're all transitioning away from the summer into the school year. So it's gonna work itself out because God has mandated it so. But uh, basically, it's been a lot of beginning of the year conversations. So not just conversations, but assessments and tests when it comes to like, do you remember what a noun is? Do you remember what a verb is? How do you write a sentence? Can you write a paragraph? And like everything in between, right? So not including that, but have you thought about a fraction since, school got out? You know, knowledge like that. It's just knowledge checks just to see where my kiddos are at so I can know where we can get going too. So I sat back and like while they were doing one of their assessments, I was like, how am I doing? I tried to once a quarter check my budget, um, check my worship and my devotional. Like, is it stale? Am I aligning myself? The answer is no most of the time. So I tweak and I adjust. And I do my best to always do that. Because if I'm spending time and money on it, I might as well enjoy it. I might as well have it be fruitful and productive. If I'm trying to be intentional about being in a relationship with God, then I need to actually enjoy it. I need to want to spend time with Him and not just do the same routine robotically every morning or every afternoon or every evening, right? So I asked him, how am I doing with my patience, with my, things like that. I said, Lord, ask me a question, let me get a hard question. And so he asked me, how do you feel about your son's biological father? And I sat there and I was like, Lord, one, wow. That's a you hit me with the doozy, huh? I haven't thought about him in a while. And for those of you who do not know or who I have not told yet, my son's biological father was I was on a date with him and he assaulted me while on that date. And the result was my son, Josiah. And so I always say that he was a donor, of course, not even a donor, but he meant it for bad, or at least he meant it for selfish reasons, but God meant it for good because I was in such a dark place that God gave me Josiah to focus on self care, to focus on not destroying and sabotaging myself anymore because I was honestly in a spiral. It wasn't going to end well. If it was not for God sending Josiah, I would not be sitting here alive, sitting anywhere alive, let alone here as a missionary. So, and the thing was, even after that, when I found out I was pregnant, as a woman who uses all of her resources, I found the man I went on a date with and I told him I was pregnant. And he called me a slut. He slut shamed me and said that I wanted it and that it also was not his child. And then he walked away like it was nothing. I was 20 and I found out I was pregnant when I was 21, like maybe a week or two later. So, because it was October 10th was when I was attacked, and I found out after my birthday on the 21st. So it was within that month. So today was the End It Now. And so when God asked me, how do you feel about your son's biological father? In that conversation, like in that mind moment, maybe 30 seconds, I said, I hope I see him in heaven. I hope I see him in heaven, because because that means that he found God, a real relationship with God. And he would be forgiven by his creator. And I sat there for a second, even saying it out loud, wild. Why would you hope to see your rapist in heaven? Because God loves him. And I want him to have repented and to have not done that again to anyone else in any capacity of abuse. So I sat there with that because it surprised me. I've been to therapy, of course, for that, but I've also started opening up to the idea of going back on dates, right? So it surprised me that I said that to him and to God. And God was like, that's my girl. So growth is happening in many different fronts for me. But today is End It Now Sabbath, also the women's ministry. So End It Now is it's an Adventist initiative, I believe that's the way to say it, project, organization, umbrella, where we are standing up against violence, against men, against women, intimate partner violence, family violence, domestic violence, hit and runs. That's what I call what happened to me. And we stand up against it and we say, no, it's not okay. And if you know someone who's been through any kind of violence against them, please have them go to EndItNow.org, where they can find resources and ways to open up and break the silence. But if you know somebody who went through this, you need to wrap around them, and you go to EndItNow.org as well, because there's resources to teach you how to help them and how to comfort them. The World Health Organization did a study that 1 in 3 women have been attacked, whether it's under an umbrella of different types of attacks. And then there was also a study done inside the church, the Adventist church, and asked the same questions, the same statistic, 1 in 3. If you know 3 women, 1 of them is hurting, whether they're recovering, whether they're in it, or whether they don't know they're about to hit it. Be a safe place. And when we break our silence, don't blame us. Don't say that it was our fault. Don't say, even if it's like a marriage, don't say you should have prayed to keep it together, or you made a bad decision and this was the result. A victim cannot stop an attacker. I said yes until I said no. And I meant it. I said no. And he chose to say yes still. Did I make bad decisions until that no? I did. Did I stand up and say no? Yes, and that is where I should have been respected. A woman has every right to say no. A man has every right to say no. And that no should be respected. So as Adventists, as Christians, as any kind of person who feels that there's any good in them, we have to stand up against the ones who hurt us. Because we're all in this together. We're all in the same earth, the same community. When someone hurts over there, they're hurt over here too. That's what MLK said. If there's an injustice somewhere, there's an injustice everywhere. Someone is hurt. Go find them. Go help them. Go wrap around them and love on them. Because it might be you next. And you want to have a community who knows how to help you. So start that community so you can start learning. And if you're not sure about how to do that, again, EndItNow.org. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. And thank you for when I finally opened up to my church couldn't do anything but love me. And love my son. And I was supported so much that I couldn't handle it because, again, recovering from that made me very vulnerable. And so I shut down and I was kind of engaging, but there was so much of an outpour of love. I knew that I could open up when I was ready. And I did. And it was beautiful. And even when I wasn't ready, they were still there supporting me. And they're like, baby shower, this and that. Are you okay? You know, people, my friends are trying to help me get into therapy. And like, you know, I had the support. I was not alone. But I never went to the cops. Because a man's word against a woman's word, especially a military man's word against a woman's word, wouldn't have had any impact. So I decided not to. Because I didn't want it to be publicized. I didn't want to be like, I didn't want to be that girl. But I'm a woman now of God. And I'm just so glad that God has told me that He loves me. And that I'm never alone. We should never leave anyone alone. So, again, EndItNow.org. Happy Sabbath, everybody. I hope you find rest and love in God today.